Expected to hold a town hall in just about an hour and a half. NBC's Ron Allen is live there with the details. Ron, good to see you.
How are you, Carlos?
Ron, so apparently there's fairly significant, almost disturbing news. Let us know what's happening there in New Hampshire.
Well, things are peaceful. There are perhaps several thousand people here in front of the high school, and they're lining the road up to the high school. People for healthcare reform, for lack of a better way of describing them, on one side, people against it on the other side. Things are very, very orderly. But let me clear up one thing. There is a man in the crowd who has a gun, a handgun, strapped on his lower leg. The chief of police says that it is legal for him to have the gun as long as it is not concealed. It's a registered weapon, and what's more, the man is on private property, a church ground there at the end of the roadway, and the church has apparently given him permission to be there. The police are obviously keeping a close eye on this man, and they're not going to let him get anywhere near the president. They're not going to let him get anywhere near the president. Suspect that he won't be here by the time the president gets here in just a couple of hours' time. But again, for the most part, things are very peaceful. The police are keeping an eye on things. The crowds are separated.
But to be really clear, we're seeing the pictures right now. You're saying a guy has a gun in the open, where we already know there are concerns about every president's safety, but certainly this historic president, the 44th president of the United States, and there's no the guy's just being allowed to stay there. Is that right?
The chief of police here, I just asked him because I was amazed by this too, but apparently the law allows this man to be here as long as the gun is not concealed. It is registered to him apparently, and he's on private property, this church ground. There's a church right at the top of the roadway that leads into the high school, and the chief of police said that the church has given this man permission to be there. Now, the authorities are well aware of him. They're keeping a very close eye on him. I'm going to check back again because, of course, this is obviously something that a lot of people are going to be amazed by, but that's the way the law apparently works here in New Hampshire. I will bet you a lot of money, though, that by the time the president gets anywhere near the state of New Hampshire, that this man and this gun will be nowhere near this high school.
I cannot imagine that there aren't enough lawyers in New Hampshire that can't file some kind of emergency injunction, but I'll leave that to the lawyers. On the ground. Ron Allen in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, thank you. We certainly will be returning to talk to you as we get closer to the president's town hall. The president will be speaking there in just about an hour. We saw the president boarding Air Force One just moments ago. Now to today's provocative daily topic. You know, it's August. The president's poll numbers are tumbling. He's about to be greeted in New Hampshire by hundreds of protesters and one guy with a gun. So looking ahead, what's it going to take for Obama to have a successful fall? We're going to take a look at 4 potential presidential tipping points. Ari Melber is a correspondent with The Nation, joins me right now. Ari, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Ari, I can't even get to your tipping points until we talk for a moment about this guy with a gun in New Hampshire. We saw pictures of him, so this isn't some, mystical thing. What do you make of that?
I think it's really odd. I mean, when I traveled on then Senator Obama's campaign plane, there were tremendous clearinghouse services. I mean, we would go in hours before and everything would be sniffed by dogs, and they had tremendous authority, as best I could tell being there, that the Secret Service working with local authorities to sweep, to clear, to remove people, forget holding a gun. The service would work with local authorities to tell people you're too close to the facility, the president's coming in several hours later. So this struck my ear as odd. I don't know whether the law in New Hampshire is somehow different.
Gene Chatsky, I'll tell you what I think. I was disturbed when I saw President Bush in Iraq and saw a guy have enough time to take one shoe and throw it at him and then a second shoe. And I said, I don't care where you stand politically. I don't want the President of the United States being in such a position that some guy has enough time to take 2 shoes and throw it at him at point-blank range.
You think about the split second that it would take to draw that weapon, and it's just incomprehensible. And when Ron Allen said, well, I'll bet you a lot of money that by the time the president gets here, that guy will be nowhere to be found, my question is, why can't we get rid of him now?
And not only that, I've got to be concerned, and I think everyone's got to be concerned. I mean, yesterday I had my editorial, my daily editorial of the C-Note, and I said that I had some concern about language. I had some concern about language. I love that we're doing the town halls. I love that they're spirited. I love that people are voicing strong opinions, but I thought that in some cases we were crossing the line, and my concern was that words could turn into actions, and those actions in some cases could be violent. And I've got to worry now, when you show some guy on TV out in the open with a gun on his leg, that's going to have a ripple impact. It's not like other people aren't going to watch that and in some cases maybe model. And I've got to worry now, when you show some guy on TV out in the open with a gun on his leg, that's going to have a ripple impact. It's not like other people aren't going to watch that and in some cases maybe model that.
You've already got a situation that's polarized, as it was described. People for health care on one side of the street, people opposed on the other. It would take very little to tip that situation.